to my friend Andrea. You know, I ain't gonna sing our song in front of everybody, but you know. Thank you to everyone at Full 6. Let me get this right, because I've been out of the Army for about a minute now, and I done forgot a lot of my acronyms. So it's 406 AFSB. Is that right? N. See, I knew I was going to do it wrong. I should have just stayed in my lane, right? I should have just stayed in my civilian lane, because I've been a civilian a whole lot longer than I was a soldier. Well, thank you all so much for having me here. I'm excited to see this crowd. I'm more so excited to see all of the men who are here. Now, some of y'all look like y'all were voluntold to be here. You can tell me afterwards if they threatened you. I got you. I know they did that to you. Colonel, thank you for having me. Mr. Stevens, thank you for having me. I won't take too much of your time. So these 36 pages. No, So it is an honor to stand before you today in celebration of women and women's equality. And I know that in 2024, some of you are probably saying, why are we still celebrating women? That's because we haven't quite crossed the finish line just yet. We are getting there. We are making many, many strides. But in 2024, women are still just breaking glass ceilings and are still being the first to do something. And so we still have a long way to go. But I want to recognize the achievements of women, reflect on the lessons learned on our journeys, and hopefully inspire someone in here with the opportunities of growth and opportunities for the future. So today, my women, my sisters, I want to talk about a very important topic that we don't talk about enough as women in professional settings, and that is succession. Now, the men, they got succession down pat. They keep people on their bench. But I want to ask you today, as women, especially as women leaders, who's on your bench? Who's on your bench? The workplace is shifting. And just as we've witnessed recently at the Paris Olympics, when the 4x400 relay, where the runners pass the baton to the next runner, as they cease running, they pass the baton to the person who's going to take off running. So who's on your bench? Who's the person that you're going to pass the baton to so that they can continue the race? In every organization right now, the conversations of succession are going around because it's important, because there is a shift in the corporate atmosphere. Now, let me pick on some generations right now. Boomers. Yeah, I know. Hey, boomer. I know. It's almost time when many of you are thinking about exiting the workplace. If you're like me, the best generation ever, Gen X, we are in our 50s, and some of us are now the corporate supervisors. And we have to start thinking about, okay, what about the millennials and the alphas and the Zs? Who are we going to pass the torch to? Who are we going to sit on our bench so that we can develop the next generation? As women in leadership, we have a unique responsibility not only to plan our successors, but to actively engage in their development so that they can follow in our footsteps. Now, according to the Center of Creative Leadership, as written in Forbes magazine in January of 2024, 30 to 50% of new leaders struggle in their positions, Colonel, in the first 12 to 18 months, only because they were not set up for success by their predecessors. Can you imagine struggling for 12 to 18 months because the person in front of you didn't have a succession plan and they didn't set you up to take the baton and start running? When I was a brand new teacher and a brand new adjunct professor at Millamont Technical College many, many years ago, my campus director, T.J. Eltraham, took me under his wing, and he began to allow me to shadow him. He was the first person that ever taught me about a P&L spreadsheet. He was the first person to ever teach me how for-profit colleges are ran and how you are supposed to lead them. It is because of T.J. Eltringham that I became the first female and African American director of education for Millamont Technical College in Madison, Tennessee. If it had not been for TJ pouring into me, I would have never been able to take enrollment from under 200 students to 418 when we closed. It is important for you to empower women, the next person to come along to pour into them, to teach them. So my question again is, who's on your bench? The word empowerment really means, when you break that down etymologically, I think I said that right. Y'all know I still got a little hood in me, so I still mispronounce words sometimes, right? Don't let the degree fool you. The word empowerment, that EM means into. Power means the ability, and ment means action. So it literally means you have the ability to take what's in you and pour it into the next person. That's really what succession is. And so you have to find, who is that person that has the potential to take the baton as I start slowing down a little bit? Who's going to come along and speed up that I can hand it to? Harvey Coleman, in the book Empowering Yourself, stated that when someone gets promoted, there are three main factors to getting promoted and moving on. And he says that 10%, Colonel, of a person's promotion is their performance. He said 30% is their image, means do you fit the image of the organization? But interestingly enough, Coleman says 60% of getting promoted is exposure. So are you exposing the next generation to the right people? Are you exposing them to the systems, the resources, and the information that they need to be successful? Are you exposing them to the game? Because there's always a game. Are you setting them up for success? I want to tell you now, there is no success without a successor. And so, ladies, we have to think about, what is my succession plan? Creating a succession plan is not about not only ensuring that your roles are filled, but it's about fostering a culture of empowerment. So I challenge each one of you women today to identify the next you. Who is the next you? Who's on your bench? So I have some examples here, and I'm so happy that my sister Lynn Purnell opened the door for me, because I was a little nervous about incorporating faith into my speech. But every time you open that door, I'm going to walk in it. So my favorite book has a character in there named Elijah. Elijah was a prophet in Israel, and he had significant challenges through his ministry. But as he was ending his ministry, he was instructed to have a succession plan. So Elijah came across a younger prophet whose name was Elisha. And Elisha followed Elijah around, serving him, learning from him. And their relationship is the perfect example of the mentor-mentee relationship that's crucial in organizations right now, especially among women. He passed the mantle to Elisha so that Elisha did double portion and double work, and more even than what Elijah did. This important leadership transition is what we need to practice here today in our organizations. But they're not the only ones, because there was a mentor-mentee relationship in two gentlemen, one named Paul and one named Timothy. Paul poured into Timothy by making him recognize that even though he was younger, do not let that deter him from being a leader. Never, never, never judge your next person by their age, by their background, because you could be pouring into, my sisters, the next Timothy. Delegate responsibility, mentor a trade, provide guidance, and teach them how to lead effectively. In other words, create another you. And so I'll ask again, who's on your bench? Now let's talk about some real world examples. Sheryl Sandberg, the former chief operating officer of Facebook, developed a strong leadership team. She mentored young professionals like Marlene Levine and Javier Olivan, preparing them for higher responsibilities. Sandberg said that it was important for her to have leadership development and succession planning so that she can create a pipeline of capable leaders. Not only that, Martha Stewart is known for her strong leadership by pouring into Lisa Gersh and prepared her for a successful role to be a leader in her organizations, even when she went to jail. And Herb Kelleher, you probably know who Herb Kelleher is. He was the founder and CEO of Southwest Airlines. Herb Kelleher believed so strongly in a leadership pipeline that he even mentored his own secretary, who later became the chief operating officer of Southwest Airlines. And so, ladies, my question one more time is, who's on your bench? See, one of the things we have to learn as women, men, y'all could talk amongst yourselves. Let me talk to the women for a second. One of the things women, let me scold y'all just for a second, but I'm going to hold your hand while I say this. Y'all got to stop gatekeeping. If we are going to empower other women, we got to stop gatekeeping. You cannot take what's in you and just take it home and give it to no one. So I'm going to challenge each and every one of you today to first identify who's on your bench. Secondly, get all the resources, information, wisdom, and knowledge that you have. Write it down, put it in a Google Doc, take a recorder, transcribe it so that you can pour it into your Elishas, so that you can pour it into your Timothys, so that you can pour it into the next generation of women. The men do a great job of succession planning, so we got some catching up to do. Here's some things that you can do to plan for who's going on your bench. And these come from the book Succession by Noel Tichy. Create a culture of leadership development. As women leaders, we should be actively promoting a culture where leadership, information, and resources are a shared responsibility amongst everyone. Next, we need to identify and nurture our upcoming talent. Who has the drive? Who has the passion? Who has the commitment? Who has the character to be the next you? Provide opportunities for growth. Don't gatekeep. If there's a course, if there's a conference, if there's a book, if there's a webinar, if there's something that the next you needs to learn, make sure she knows about it. Make sure she's aware of it and make sure she can do it. Establish a feedback-rich environment. Make sure that whoever your next Elisha is, they can take feedback. Some people in this generation these days, I'm not talking about the boomers and the Gen X, because you know we got it going on. But the rest of y'all after Gen X, some of y'all don't do well taking feedback. I don't know if y'all in the room or not. Some of y'all don't do well taking criticism. But if you are going to be a leader, I'm sure the Colonel and Mr. Stevens will agree with me, feedback is crucial. And it is critical to leadership. We cannot have leaders out here who cannot be told, you should have did that a different way. Or you probably shouldn't have did that at all. If you don't have the emotional intelligence to take feedback, then that's the first book you need to read, Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Ensure that there is continuity in your position. Start documenting your processes. Start documenting your brilliance. Start documenting what's inside of you. Start documenting your wisdom. Start documenting everything. Write a book if you need to. I got friends who are publishers. Everything that's in you needs to be poured into somebody else so that it doesn't take them 12 to 18 months to learn their new position, because you have set them up for success. Who is on your bench? Mentor the younger generation, create networking opportunities, encourage them to develop their skills, whether that's communication skills, whether that's writing skills, whether it's speaking skills, and whether it's their technical skills. And most importantly, women, please share your story. Some of these young women need to know how you were the first. Some of these women need to know how you were discriminated against. Some of them need to know how you were dismissed because you were a woman, how you were dismissed because you were a minority. They need to know your story of how you were the smartest person in the room, but because you had on a skirt, nobody listened to you. They need to know your story. So, who's on your bench? So let us embrace our roles as women, mentors, leaders, advocates for success and succession. I want you to be great at what you do, but I want your mentor to be so proud of you that when they say, "Who are you?" and "Who are you shaped after?" you can say, "I was taught by Lynn Purnell. I was taught by Andrea Berry. I was taught by this one. I was taught by this one. And I am a result of her mentorship, her leadership, and I am the one who is on her succession plan." Who's on your bench? Because there is no success without a successor. So I bid you all Godspeed, and you all have some homework to do. Create that succession plan, because I want to see multiplications of you walking around in this corporate world. Thank you so much.